everyone, I'm Muskan from the marketing team at Datamatics, and I'm thrilled to welcome you today for the exciting and insightful panel discussion in collaboration with MCC Label. Our topic for today is what streaming did to DVDs, AI is doing to collections. It's a bold comparison and a timely one. Just as streaming revolutionized entertainment, AI is now transforming how organizations manage credit and collections. We recently explored this very topic at the Gartner CFO conference held at National Harbour MD, where Datamatics was a keen participant. In fact, Naveen Gupta, one of the panel speakers today, was a speaker at Gartner CFO conference at the same topic and will be sharing key insights and takeaway from those sessions today, along with Angelina from MCC Label. Before we dive in, a few housekeeping notes. You'll find a questions tab where you can drop your queries and comments throughout the session. We'll address as many as possible towards the end. We've already reviewed the questions you submitted during registration, and we'll be prioritizing those right after the presentation ends. Please note that all participant lines are mute per the default settings of the webinar. To keep things interactive, we'll be launching 3 poll questions during the webinar, where you can drop in your answers. At the end, you'll receive a brief survey. Your feedback is very valuable and it helps us shape future discussions around what matters most to you. And yes, the recording and presentation deck will be shared with you by the end of this week. Now let's get started by introducing our speakers for today. First up, we have Angelina Mendez, Director for North America Shared Services at Multicolor Corporation. With over 25 years of experience, Angelina is a results-driven leader known for her expertise in process improvement and operational excellence. She's passionate about building high-performing teams and streamlining complex workflows to drive measurable outcomes, all while fostering a culture of innovation and collaboration. And joining her is Naveen Gupta, Global Head and EVP Digital Operations and Finance Transformation at Datamatics. Naveen brings more than 40 years of experience in managing global operations, leading ERP initiatives, and driving finance transformation programs. His deep understanding of business processes and digital innovation makes him a true thought leader in this space. Thank you so much, Angelina and Naveen, for being with us here today. Over to you.
Thank you, Muskan. Welcome, everyone, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending upon the time zone you are in, for the webinar on basically talking about our digital transformation in the entire order-to-cash space. So as the topic suggests that what streaming did to the DVD, so it is not that content has vanished. So we are not talking that collection as a process will vanish. What streaming did to the DVD as an industry where the content has become more online is what we are trying to say is artificial intelligence will do to collection as a process. Because collection is the cash flow, I would say, is the biggest pain area in the KPIs of all the finance leader across the globe. Let's look at some of the data points by various analyst organizations, be it UltraDS, European Commission, or even Gartner, and it's a culmination of the data points. Over 50% of business-to-business invoices in US are overdue. A single day of a overdue leads to a reliance on a working capital, thereby leading to the higher interest cost and the cost of capital, which is directly hitting your bottom line. 25% of the bankruptcies in Europe stems from the late payment. In fact, couple of our customers, and one of them a large customer of ours, has come out of a Chapter 11 this February itself. So why is this happening? It's a manual, fragmented process. Collection is taken care by some other team, cash application is taken by some other team, credit is taken care by some other team, and the poor risk segmentation, which you are about to ship an order and the order is blocked because the risk profiling for the customer has not happened correctly. Muskan, if you can pose a first poll question.
Yes, I hope the poll is visible on your screen. It reads out, how confident are you in AI's ability to improve collections efficiency in your organization? Option 1, very confident, already seeing results. Option 2, somewhat confident, early stages of adoption. Option 3, not confident, unsure about impact. And the last, not applicable, no plans for AI in collections. Just give it a few seconds for you to answer. Please drop in your answers during this period.
So look at the result, and it is not different than what I was talking earlier, right? So people who have already adopted, they are very confident. 18% of the audience is very confident. They're already started seeing the result. The early stages, people who are in the early stages of adoption, 41%, they are somewhat confident. If you look at the bulk of the population of almost close to around 59-60% is confident, somewhere between confident and somewhat confident, and unsure about the impact are only close to around, I would say, 40%. But again, they would 12% are the only one where there is no plans, and maybe it is not applicable into their scenario, because there are a lot of businesses where they supply after receiving the payments, right? So it's quite possible that some of you, 12% of you, are already receiving payment in advance before even shipping the goods or services to the customer.
Welcome everyone to the webinar. My name is Angelina Mendez, as an introduction. I currently manage both AR and AP teams at MCC Label. My experience has been mostly in the procure to pay process, and then recently promoted to oversee the order to cash process. And for me, it's been a great eye opener to see, from my experience, needed to have the cash so that we can pay, our invoices, we can pay our suppliers. And this is part of our CFO's dilemma, right? Cash is king in any businesses. How do we make sure that we are collecting and not letting our invoices going into past those statuses? We always says collections, if a collection is not done effectively, then there are processes that are implemented, and things will not go the way that they're intended. Overdue invoices, as Naveen was saying, creates issues when we're trying to fulfill orders in a very segmented process, right? When you have cash application, collections, and credit teams working silos, then what is the outcome to the customer? Sometimes it could be a delay on orders, time that is lost, because then there is not a full integration of all parties involved within the order to cash process. And then we find sometimes people being very using spreadsheets, trying to manage and trying to come up with a full view of how the accounts are standing and what do we go and collect after. So the whole AI, when it comes to collections, I'm glad to see that some of you are already using it and see some of the benefits, and it kind of going into that the future of automation. Like I said, my experience has been mostly in accounts payable, where I have seen in my career that technology has really great impact in that in the procure to pay process. And in the same way now, there's a lot of tools and technology that it's evolving around the order to cash process. Then we have a poll question. So there's a poll question which says, which AI capability do you believe will have the biggest impact on collections? Great. 79% of you said predictive analytics for payment behavior. Correct. You want to be able to forecast your cash and know exactly, how much money you have in hand to be able to, again, continue to do business and, investments within the company. A lot of, the AI capabilities, for what I have seen in some of the processes, is true. Understanding payment behaviors, understanding where we need to put our efforts on collections. If you have a couple customers that are paying, constantly paying you 7 days, 10 days late, maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's understanding that, they have a decentralized accounts payable process or a centralized payable process. And, some companies have weekly payment runs, bi-weekly payment runs, and most likely they will not advance payments to the customers, or to the suppliers, in this case as the customer, ahead of time. They will pay what is due at the time of the payment run, and then that could create delays on payment, which is interesting. I think one of the first slides that Naveen shared with us, he was saying 50% of the business-to-business payments are late. And I think that's subject to how are we defining late payments. With AI, we can be certain, to get the data that will help us exactly to know that, right? Is it timing? Did we give a grace period for some of these customers where we understanding the process that goes on the other end? Then it's not really an issue that we need to concentrate on, and then we can keep moving on to our really difficult and customers maybe that we have trouble with. Good. We can go to the next slide, Muskan. Okay, some of the real issues when it comes to collections. If you work in a company where you have grown through acquisitions, sometimes you have different systems. You can have different systems. Different systems have different master data. Maybe customers are not set up, in a way that it's common to send a consolidated statement. So when you have tools, as like Naveen will be talking later, you can have this aggregated component and say this is an account as a whole, rather than trying to do separate statements. It helps keep one view of the account. It helps you do a collection process a lot better, where you are not, again, being reactive to your collection process, that it can really leverage and be more proactive. A lot of issues with a collection process that it's manual leads to data entry errors. And sometimes those errors are not on the collector side, right? It's on the stream. We say we work on order to cash. In order for the collection to be effective, we need to make sure that the order submission gets done correctly. Some of the challenges today, we have, maybe big customers that transact via EDI. When you have EDI orders, it's critical that those orders kind of follow the fulfillment and then the invoice the same way that were submitted. But sometimes if there are changes, if they are, fulfillment from one plan to another, it might be the need to create do data entry, and then that could lead to a fat finger. And then when it comes to the moment of invoicing, then you have a problem. You're not able to deliver that invoice properly, and you don't usually find out until that invoice it's past due. So it is critical to have use the technology to help us get invoice status early, so that we can be proactive in our collection process. And then the other thing that it's an issue when we have broken processes is the customer relationship, right? When you have different people working on spreadsheets, and if there's turnover in an organization, then the next person that might come in, they will have to start from scratch, and it could be situations that create friction between you and the customer, and of course sales, because now you are upsetting the customer, and they don't want you to do that. So it provides this, the technology provides the resources to be more effective, to be proactive, and then to improve the relationships with our internal teams, and most importantly, to the customer. We have, I think, another poll question, Muskan.
That comes later.
Okay, we can move to the next slide then.
So basically, as Angelina was talking about, and in fact, the whole industry, when we are talking of a CFO for back office operation, in fact, we had a review meeting with one of our very, very large logistics customer last Tuesday itself. And I was talking to their global transformation leader. And in fact, I assumed and I thought that his KPIs would be operational KPI, that turnaround time, accuracy, first time right, and all those kind of a thing. And when I told him that, Pablo, I really spoke about O2C at a Gartner CFO summit, and I was talking about working capital. And then he's immediately jumped up and said that, Naveen, that's exactly my KPI. My KPI is not operationals parameter. So the operational parameters are given, those are hygiene, they have to be there. Now the entire KPI in the mind, and that's a turning point. That's the entire turning point where whether it is a CFO or a transformation leader who we all may think is a technology guy and his KPI would be implementation of a technology. No, his KPI also is working capital reduction in working capital requirement or reduction in interest cost. So now how do you do that? From a reactive to a predictive finance so that CFO knows in advance that for the next 3 months, this is what my working capital or cash flow position is going to be. How does unified system gives them a visibility across three functions: collection, credit, and cash application? Because there is so much of a huge amount of a cash to the extent of up to 7% of a unapplied cash globally. If you look at an average, and you can see in your own organizations as well, that how much is a huge unapplied cash which is lying with an invoice is looking at outstanding. Whereas AI or artificial intelligence can help you identify the right invoices, because Angelina pointed out that from one plan to another it is shipped, the invoice itself creation gets delayed, then invoice itself may be wrong, and even if it is right, the remittance from the customer may have a different description altogether, the item description. Or so how do you apply? So it remains there in an unapplied basket, and that is where AI transforms the entire cash application along with the collection. I'll talk about our collection in a little bit, but now it auto picks up the invoices and remittances and applies against the cash, or even if the amount difference is there, item description difference is there, because AI is doing it for you. Similarly, AI transforms the collection into a smart engine altogether. How does your collector really decide their task, day-to-day task, that what are they going to do, who are they going to call, who are the most successful calls would be where they would call and customer would pay? How would be the collector's efficiency would be measured? And this is what AI will give you based upon past pattern, historical data, current financial position of a customer, as well as past dues, aging, and all. It will give you that out of 100, please only make this 25 calls, rest all please send the dunning letter. Real-time collection with the customized dunning letter, again, as you can see. And again, dunning letter tonality can be different for the different customers, different past dues, and those can be decided. If you are leaving it to AI engine will decide that whether it is a soft dunning letter, whether it is a hard dunning letter, or whether it is a third reminder dunning letter, so what language it should be. So whole industry, the whole paradigm is shifted now. The whole KPIs is shifted now, and this is the turning point. This is where we thought it is important for us to bring for all of you that what is happening in the collection as the industry, how artificial intelligence, machine learning, generative AI is really changing the face of the entire collection process across various all the verticals, be it manufacturing, be it logistics, be it retail, CPG, or whatever. So if and that is what I spoke about a little earlier. Real-time prioritization of overdue account. Now you don't have to really go as per the Excel and then do a sort of a descending order from a higher amount to the lesser amount. AI is now taking in consideration all the parameters, as well as even if there is any negative or a positive feed about a particular customer in a public domain, plus any real-time financial data available, it is bringing in, and then it is prioritizing list for the collectors to really act upon the outstanding and then take action on what customers to call. group customers with the payment behaviors, risk, and the compliance, what they are doing. And then not only that, your conversation AI based customer communication. Why do you really need to, for example, when we were giving demo to one of our existing customer, he immediately mentioned that Naveen, this is a beautiful use case for the tail end customer. For the tail end customer where no one bothered to call and it lies there. And in fact, it was lying there from the last 3 years. Why can't this auto call agent, the conversation AI, call up those customers where even they will not feel, we don't mind them calling for 100, $200 because no one bothers to call them. And empathetic, which is again the tonality, which is very important because no one wants their customers to be called by machine. Here it is a AI call agent, which is empathetic, which is following their accent, which is talking to them about our weather, which is talking to them about our games, as well as which is talking to them, the most importantly, about the outstanding amount and when are they going to pay, what is the promise to pay date, or there is going to be some, they want to defer payment, or they want to have a payment plan in place with the interest. So all this intelligent follow-up or a AI agent can do it for you.
So again, some of the business outcomes when we have AI in place, prioritizing accounts that are truly past due, right? Putting the effort on collecting on those customers where, once that grace period is over, start looking into, the reasons why they're not paying, and then adding notes that are easy to extract and reports. And also, what Naveen said about the cash application process. If you are applying cash as soon as the money comes in, and there is an engine that helps you with apply thousands of invoices with a remittance that it's automated, then you have more real time posting on the accounts, and by default your collection efficiency it's increasing. Automatic follow-ups when you have bots sending, reminders, emails that, it provides all the detailed information, so you don't have to have a person creating an email and attaching invoices when you have a process follow-up workflow built into your application that will help with that communication. Like Naveen was saying, the automatic reminders, calls. Sometimes, if you have statements that are small dollars, but then if you have these bots creating these automated messages, it could be receptive to an accounts payable department and said, oh, it's an old invoice, I have it, I will pay it. And then that collection process, again, it's more effective. You didn't have a person from your team reaching out directly. You had this, the platform going out and trying to seek payment for some of these aged items. So definitely the technology to the use for order to cash, it's evolving. It continues to be lots of conversations in some of the conferences, and also something that it's also changing is, many companies are outsourcing their payable process. Sometimes when you have these automated messages and these calls, they might not be reaching out to the right person because there were changes within an organization that maybe didn't get communicated timely, and you didn't have time to update your systems. Having this type of automation will let you know immediately when something gets rejected, or it's automated messages that will trigger some sort of action that you can prioritize your again, update your master data and prioritize how you're going to work your accounts. Definitely a lot of benefits when it comes to AI and the order to cash process. So there's this poll question that reads, what is your biggest concern when implementing AI in collections? So we'll give a couple seconds so you guys can reply. let's see what will be the top concern. Accuracy and reliability of AI models. Yeah, I think that's a top concern. I think something that we have to remember is that AI is, again, designed by humans, right? It's not, and it's a model that gets, trained and built based on assumptions. And if we don't have the right information, if we don't have the right processes in place, then having this advance of a technology definitely will not make us any good. It will hurt us, because then maybe we don't have clean data processes, or we don't have again, proper connections, lots of things that can happen. But it is true. I think that's one of the biggest concerns, and also because it's something that it's new, it's evolving, right? Like I said, it's our teams are used to the old process, right? You have a collector, you have your spreadsheet, you call, and it's the adoption as well, right? How effective will be our teams to adapt to the new technology. And I think this is, again, as the title of this webinar suggested, right? What happened to the DVDs, it might happen to us. It will not happen, probably in the next 2 or 3 years, but definitely look at what happened in AP, right? Like I said, my experience has been in accounts payable. Now a lot of those processes are automated. You don't do this, manual matching and manual coding, because all workflows are built into systems that help our teams to become more efficient. And then when your teams are in a way tasked to do more of, analysis rather than data entry, the scale or the skill set changes for people in these roles. And I think that's something that maybe wasn't an option, but it's a concern too. As the technology evolves, it's important to have the right talent in place. No longer this old, again, manual process, but more, technology driven. You need to have people that have the skill set, that are, analytical, and then they are, they have the technical skill also to understand when something's not working. What do I need to do to troubleshoot, right? Is it a data entry? Is it a master data component? And like, what is it that is creating this issue? And then it kind of moves away from, again, a standard AR clerk roles to more like an specialist analytical role.
And just to add on of what Angelica is saying, the accuracy and reliability of AI models, and also along with the people, the selection of the tools and the large language model is also very, very important. Now, only large language model may not give you the really very high level of accuracy until unless it is also synchronized with the small language models and the domain expertise model. And that is where it is important for you to choose the right partner and the right tools and technology, because what we are getting today as the organization for our customers like Angelina is at 85 to 90% of our accuracy from the system level itself, because we combine LLM with our small language model, which is domain centric. And talking about cost and ROI justification, I will just give you one example, real time example of one of our customer. Their daily outstanding was $670 million. Initially, the whole project started with the reduction of a cost from an operation, because they were paying close to around 50 cents per document with the 1,000 people team, because it was happening manually. And was again in the entire O2C process itself, which was a just small component, a 1,000 people team. And with the implementation of the AI and the right model, the operation team itself came down to 400 people with 92% accuracy from the system level itself. But audience in the call right now, but let me tell you that KPI was no longer valid, because immediately CFO said, I want 2% reduction in the daily outstanding, which is $13 million. And I will just ask you guys, request to just analyze it. And then you can yourself see that what is the impact on the ROI and the cost justification. So you all can calculate that it is very small element of adoption of AI. The cost is very small in comparison to the benefits which you are getting on the cost of capital and a reduction in working capital.
And then I was just gonna add too, like sometimes the benefit will not come on headcount reduction, right? Sometimes people think because you are automating many of these tasks, like the staff reduction, it's kind of like the where you will justify the return on investment. We are a customer for Datamatics for their Finato tool and Procure to Pay. And then what the benefit for us using a platform as Datamatics for the procure to pay process was the ability to centralize our accounts payable process. So we have many plans across the US, and then many of those plans were decentralized. It took a good year to bring those plans into our Datamatics module, which it was beneficial because it provided a whole view of, regardless of system, regardless of location, then we have one item, and then we were able to reallocate some of the resources at the plants now to report directly to our accounts payable manager, because the tool enable us to do that. Once it was set up, it was kind of a good way to integrate on the procure to pay process.
So what we were talking about AI, but let me just give you a glimpse of agentic in working in place for all the elements we were talking about. For example, now you have a overdue account prioritization agent. This is a agentic AI which will work for you and give you action item that Naveen, as a collector, this is the list of prioritization which is there in front of you when I go to the office as a collector. You have a data agent which is matching the multiple descriptions. There is a different description on the remittance advice. There is a different description on invoice. There is a different description on the purchase order. So it matches automatically with the help of large language model, generative AI, and small language model. And you really, there is no unapplied cash. There is personalized dunning agent, as Angelina was talking about. Why do we need to have to call the tail end collection? Why can't we send them a dunning letter? And the moment they get a dunning letter or a call, they would immediately say, oh, $100, I forgot to pay, I'll pay it. Then you have a conversational AI agent. I was talking a little time earlier, where even they can be used for making a first level call before really going to, I would say, a team leader level or a manager level, so that that particular process is automated without any vacation, without any leave, available to you 24/7. So if it's and all, I'm sure many of you people are there from the multinationals working in the various geographies. So you don't have to have a various multiple shifts to address your and having a collectors into different particular time zone so that they are calling customers on and that time zone. There is a conversational AI which is available to you 24/7. And then based upon the risk segmentation, our agent who's giving a real-time risk profiling, there is no order block, there is real-time credit adjustment or enhancement or a reduction depending upon credit score, which is being obtained by this agent as a real time. And this real-time agent decides and tell the order fulfillment team that yes, whether you can ship this order or no, this order needs to be blocked. There is no unnecessary order block because of the fixed threshold which we all are used to defining, and we not only lose that particular order because order was blocked, we potentially can lose that customer as well. So, Angelina, what is your thought on a CFO as a strategist now? What do you feel that as a CFO, what are the strategic impact? If I talk about the first block itself, is your thought being a practitioner now, being leading the O2C team as well? What is your thought on that first block?
Yeah, like I said, right, being able to predict the our cash flow forecast, the cash that we'll be able to collect within a certain period of time, rather than scrambling trying to troubleshoot or ship orders out. I know that's an important piece of the process, but most importantly, how can we leverage the data that we're getting, the information that we got to make sure that we're making the right decisions. So to me, it's important to have a clean data in our systems, and that we are able to forecast better.
And similarly, traditionally, when we talk about a risk manager, those guys are looked upon like, okay, this guy is going to come and stop my order, right? Sales team hate risk manager. But now, how do you really see risk manager rather than becoming a sort of a, I would say, police or audit team are really becoming a revenue accelerator for the organization?
Using AI? You mean like using AI?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, understanding the data, understanding, the payment behavior. Is it related to terms? Do we need to correct terms in our system? Do we need to, improve, the way we analyze some of these accounts to make sure that we are not leaving money on the table, that we are, there's a lot of, some of the issues that I see, it's with the terms, and if customer is taking, we have net 30, but then someone shake hand and said net 60, then that definitely is hurting us. So we want to make sure that we have the right data to be able to understand what needs to change internally, and have those conversations to make sure that we are, again, collecting and investing what we can.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. Because traditionally or in the past, these guys used to really follow the checklist. Net 30, so fine. Anything beyond net 30, we will not accept the order. But you're right. If you're building the cost of interest, cost of capital, even in net 60, and the customer's profile and customer's risk profiling is giving you a positive rating and a result, why to lose money on the table, dollar on the table? And that is where they become customer champion as well. They are not only process champion. They are not only called CFO's henchmen, but they are called customer champion as well, where the, they are really looked upon as a facilitator, as the accelerator, as the catalyst for the growth of the revenue.
Correct.
And thereby, today, if you look at CFO's organization, and many of the CFOs actually has got promoted to the CEO as well, because they are no longer looked upon as the people who are sitting on the dollar or protecting that dollar. They are being looked upon as a growth enabler, equally as either a CEO or a COO or a chief transformation officer. So they are equally looked upon as a people who would enable the growth in the organization.
Correct, because it removes those silos, right? To look at, I'm just a collector, I'm just the cash application, and I'm just credit. It kind of provides that, looking at the whole stream and working with the teams that are part of the stream, right? Order to cash, you have sales, customer service, the plan managers, people at the lines, with the production, the quality, all of that. At the end, it's a full cycle, and then to be able to collaborate and integrate all of those departments that are part of this stream, it provides that growth for the company, right? You don't have to spend time dealing with issues. You can have a more strategic view of, again, prioritizing what is it that you need to work first to be able to see improvement, and then continue to grow the business, where the customer has a good experience dealing with the company from all angles, right? Not only sales, because sales is the face of the organization, but also with the accounting department, when you're trying to collaborate. I think that's very important. So it's a whole circle.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. So if we look at the summary, we'll just summarize it before we really start taking a question from the audience. AI transforms the collection into a reliable and intelligent system, right? It is no longer just a mundane job of calling and then asking for the payment. It converts into a very, very reliable, predictable, and that is where CFOs or finance organization are able to really predict that next month this is the external or extra fund I'm going to need. So they borrow only exactly what is needed, helping organization a lot to lower their cost of capital or cost of interest. Automate segmentation of the customer as per risk profile, prioritize and personalize the dunning strategies for the overdue. Because every single dollar which is outstanding is important for each and every one of us. So it prioritize and personalize, but again, we cannot be very harsh also, we cannot be very soft also, and that is where rather than leaving in for a human judgment, AI is personalizing it for you for creating your dunning strategy. As Angelina was talking of Finato P2P, similarly, Finato collection platforms offer real-time visibility, predictive insight, and touchless, absolutely touchless operation where the engine will decide that whom to call first and that call can be made automatically, and whatever call to action has been given by a customer will be updated by this agentic AI or this agent, which is AI agent in the system. So improves the DSO. Generally, we are all used to saying that 60 days is the really good DSO, but now people are benchmarking and trying to achieve 30s, and many of our customers have actually successfully going towards that because they have already come down to 40-45 days. Now they are trying to come down to DSO of 30 days. And of course, with the help of a risk management, as Angelina was talking about, not leaving a single dollar on the table. At the same time, managing the risk also so that you are not exposed because of in the view of not leaving the dollar. So you are only leaving those dollars which you know for sure will never come. And again, strengthening your working capital in the organization. Shift from transactional staff to a strategic leadership for finance teams so that finance teams also are not considering them also only accounting people or a accounting function, but they are also really looking themselves with the pride that they are helping organization growth. Future finance is the autonomous finance where system, the AI, again, the technology is taking a real-time intelligent decision and the correct decision at all the time. As someone has already pointed out that what is the accuracy of the model? Because look, the moment we are choosing the correct blend or the right blend of the technology, your hallucination is decreased to a larger extent. And what you are getting, and I'm not, the percentages I'm talking of 85, 90% plus accurate data from the system itself. So with that, we will request audience if any questions, whatever you may have, if you can put it on the Q&A tab at Muskan has typed in that tab. We'll be more than happy, either Angelina or myself will be more than happy to try and answer to the best of our knowledge.
Yes, Naveen, in fact, we are receiving few questions from the audiences directly. But let's take the questions that have come during registration. The first one being, how exactly AI will ensure due diligence in collections with everyday changing norms and regulations from RBI, how fast it can adopt the changes?
So that is the beauty of the AI. It's because, for example, just before going to the RBI, so there is human in the loop to really have 100% accuracy in the data. Every time you correct any data into the system while doing a transaction, the engine learns by itself. And the next time when the similar kind of a transaction comes in, the machine learning has enabled your entire system to now adopt to whatever changes you have done. In the same fashion, whatever RBI guidelines or RBI regulations which are coming in on the real-time basis, you just either they can be configured very fast when they come in, or whatever changes you do, even if and you don't have to really put too much of an effort. Even if those changes are done on the real-time basis on those transactions, machine learning helps AI to adopt for the next time onwards.
Possible options to automate customer collections and add more value in the process.
So collection option. So first option is to create your task list so that you have a very you are start measuring the efficiency of the collectors, and that is where we discussed in the I would say couple of minutes back about how you can automate the entire task list by the help of AI collection agent, and then AI call agent, which can again be automated through AI as a agentic, which will call various list of prioritized outstanding customers, and then within the same process, your outs open remittances. I have seen this with almost all my customers. Application of those open remittances to open invoices so that you are able to close books of account in time. And we have very much seen that 7 days have come to 2 or at max 3 days for closing the month and closing books.
What are some common misconceptions about using AI in collections?
We saw, Muskan, all the misconceptions which people ask the question on, that what is the accuracy of data, what is the data privacy, what is the return on what is the ROI in the cost. So these and then again accuracy of data, and when people talk of AI, they talk of a lot of hallucination as well. So today they are misconception, I would say, because they have been addressed by the organization like ours and many others as well, where all this have been taken care of.
I'm a CFO, and what are the key capabilities or features that we should look in evaluating AI-powered OC solutions?
So again, those points which were misconception should be looked upon, because and the benchmarking, you can get the benchmarking data from the industry, I would say, analysts like APQC, Hackett, and all, where you would be able to see that what is the DSO going to be. Look at the business KPIs. My request, my urge to all of you is forget about operational KPI, because those have become thing of a past. Look at all the business KPIs, and whosoever you are partnering with, whether they are giving you a roadmap of fulfilling that business KPI, whether it is reduction in working capital, what is the target, how will they achieve through technology, what is the reduction in cost of capital, what is the reduction in interest cost, what is the improvement in your cash flow, positive improvement in the cash flow, which you can further invest into the business to fuel growth business further. So define your KPIs, which I would say business KPIs is becoming a trend, not the operational KPI. And whosoever is able to give you that roadmap, and you are looking, I would say, justifiable roadmap to achieve those KPIs, is how you should select your partner and tools and technology.
How should organizations approach data readiness before implementing AI in collections?
So Angelina spoke about today, in fact, because of a particular specialization into that area of the industry, we see almost every customer really having multiple system of records. They have one system of record for operations, one for your GL, AP, AR for financial or financial closing, and the financial management on P&L and trial balance. So we have to try and see that our terminologies or definition of the data is almost, so MDM would be, I would say, the first approach. But again, AI can be leveraged to do MDM faster. So data has to be clean, right? Although AI can really take care of quite a lot of even unclean data, but if the volume of data is huge, then even AI will struggle. And it's an age-old phrase, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes. Yes, I agree with that. I think as you're looking to, to embark into this AI a technology, it's very important to have a system cleanup. If you have different systems, understanding maybe, if you have balances that you're still trying to collect, or things that probably you inherit that there's no answer to them, definitely don't bring them to your new platform. Understanding the master data of your customers, the customer hierarchy, right? Again, I talk about, the centralized accounts payable process, centralized accounts payable process. You can have customers that, it could be a big customer, but then a segment is a different AP department. So it's important that you understand, where is your collection happening. So when you have the systems, then you can make the right, especially if you're sending statements, dunning letters automatically, that you're making sure that the receiver is getting the proper information, and not just like, a random email that they're not going to look at because it doesn't pertain to them, right? So having data, clean data integrity becomes a big piece of it. And also when, Naveen was talking about misconceptions on AI, technology, it's a great thing, right? It comes to help us, but then we have to put the effort too. We have to make sure that we understand our internal processes beginning to end, and see how the tool, whatever the tool we selected, is going to come and help us. And then one thing that I will say is, when you are choosing a partner, make sure that you're listening to the partner, right? Because they have what is best practice, not what you want to do, continue to do in your old processes. Because sometimes what I have seen, and experience implementing different systems, is that people try to implement what they're currently doing into our new platform, and it's like not really taking advantage of the automation or listening to your partner when they come and recommend best practices. So really being with, an open mind, and understanding that AI is not a magic wand that it's going to come and solve your problems. It is definitely a great tool, and we have to put the effort up front, right? Mapping our processes and cleaning, some master data cleanup before we implement it. Because Naveen said, garbage in, garbage out, and then we find ourselves maybe sometimes, maybe blaming the partner that it's not working. But in reality, internally, you can have those issues.
Can you share a real example where AI transformed collections outcomes for a finance?
Sorry, if you can repeat the question again, Muskan.
Can
I'll
you
also
share a real example where AI transformed collections outcomes for a finance team?
So I already did that. I'll repeat that collection again, and that's very close to my heart. Having outstanding of $670 million on the your books of account perspective, but operations being run only for a small piece for 1,000 people because it was manual. So the operation cost, which I told you that was 50 cents, actually came down to 30 cents because 1,000 people team came down to 400. But more importantly, your 2% reduction in daily outstanding, which is close to around $30 million, 13 million, $13 million, just annualized whatever number of working days you want to consider, and see the huge magnitude of the impact which AI can create.
All right. I think those are the questions that we have received from the audience. So, in the interest of time, we can definitely wind up the session. Once again, thank you so much, Angelina and Naveen, for sharing your valuable insights with us today. Your experience and collaboration has truly made this session impactful, and I'm sure that our audience is walking away with a lot of fresh perspective and good takeaways to think about post this panel discussion. As we wrap up, a big thank you to everyone who has joined us online. We hope you found the panel discussion to be both informative and thought provoking. If you have any follow-up questions or you would like more information, feel free to reach out to us at events@datamatics.com, or you can also scan the QR code that is live on your screen right now. We are always happy to connect, always happy to discuss where do you want to head in terms of your AI and autonomous finance transformation. We'll be sharing the recording and presentation of the deck by this week itself. So please keep an eye on your inbox. And before we let you go, we really appreciate if you can take a moment to fill out the short survey that will pop up after we close the screen. Your feedback is incredibly valuable and it helps us shaping future discussions to better suit your interests. So once again, thank you so much, Angelina and Naveen, for taking time out of your busy schedule and being a part of this discussion. Until next time, take care. See you soon. Thank you so much.